just feeling of relief and thankfulness. It helps me to realize that maybe God used me in this crazy way to make sure that Bethany got her peace.
Roldan faces up to 40 years in prison.
It has been more than 10 years since Bethany Decker disappeared from her Ashburn home.
Her body has never been found, and her former boyfriend pled guilty to her murder.
Roldan was convicted and sent to prison in North Carolina in 2016, buying the Loudoun Sheriff's Office more time for its investigation. And when he was released in November of 2020, he was charged with Bethany Decker's murder. On Thursday, he pleaded guilty, the details of that agreement under seal until his sentencing. Willoughby's reaction to the plea?
February 2nd, 2011. An airport. A man standing alone, watching the doors, waiting. His wife said she'd come. She always came before. But this time, she didn't show up. He calls her workplace. They tell him she hasn't been in for several days. The family starts calling, one after another. No answer. Then messages start arriving from her account. But something feels wrong, really wrong. The sentences are broken, full of mistakes. She can't answer simple questions, things she would have known by heart. And then 4 different people say the exact same thing. That's not her. They go to her apartment. Her car is outside, parked at a strange angle. One of the tires flat. They knock on the door. Silence. A heavy, unsettling silence. Ashburn, Virginia. 21-year-old Bethany Ann Decker. Her mother, Kim, said her daughter was a joy to everyone around her. Always cheerful, always smiling. From the day she was born, she had 2 younger siblings, and they all said the same thing. Bethany was the leader, confident, supportive, the one who always lifted everyone else up. She got accepted into George Mason University, planning to study global and economic change. One of her roommates later said, Bethany could put off an essay until the very last night, finish it in an hour, and still get the highest grade. She was seriously smart. It was during her freshman year that Bethany met Emil Decker, a cadet in the Reserve Officer Training Program, getting ready to join the Army National Guard. Emil was a romantic. Her family said all Bethany had to do was mention something once, and he'd remember it and try to make it happen. Her family absolutely loved him. It felt like he'd always been there. They got engaged. And almost immediately after, Bethany found out she was pregnant. They named their son Kai. But the joy of that new life came with a weight neither of them expected. The stress came fast. A newborn, financial pressure, and Emil preparing to deploy to Afghanistan, even with help from both families. They were barely holding it together. Bethany was still studying at George Mason. She picked up a part-time job at a restaurant, working to keep things afloat. And the thought of Emil being gone for a long time, that was especially hard. She told him she felt like they were drifting apart, like they were living in 2 completely different worlds. She said maybe they had rushed everything. Maybe they should have taken more time. They decided to take a break. Emil was upset, but he wanted to give Bethany what she needed. When he left the country, Bethany moved into a new apartment, closer to work, picking up as many shifts as possible. And then, one day at the restaurant, everything changed. She met Ronald Roldan, 31 years old, originally from Bolivia. Not long after, he moved into her apartment. Her best friend Sarah was shocked. She tried to talk Bethany out of it, but Bethany was going to do what she wanted. And from the very beginning, the relationship was troubled. Ronald was controlling, jealous, aggressive, and everyone could see it. Bethany's mother, Kim, said it was honestly scary to hear what was going on inside that apartment. At one point, she suspected Ronald had hurt Kai. The little boy wasn't just afraid of him. He showed up with a bruise under his eye. They were told a friend had been watching him, and he fell off a chair. Bethany's family didn't believe that. For a second, Ronald had called Kai's daycare, pretending to be Emile. Thankfully, the staff caught it. Nothing happened. But after that, they created a secret code for phone calls, just in case. Ronald texted Bethany constantly, demanding proof of where she was, who she was with. He would follow her to places and wait outside until she came out. Bethany was in a dangerous situation. She finally told Emile everything, admitting she knew she had made a mistake. Emile still wanted to save their relationship. He said family was his priority. He had felt for months that something wasn't right. So they decided to take a trip together, one last chance to fix what was breaking. In mid-January 2011, Emile came home on leave. When Bethany met him at the airport, it became clear there was another serious issue. She was pregnant again, and the father was Ronald. Emile said he wasn't angry. He still wanted to go on vacation to Hawaii. He said, "I was overseas. It was like a completely different world. Coming home, I was just happy to be alive, happy to be with my family. Everything else in the world just didn't matter." And according to everyone who knew them, they actually had a really good time. They hadn't laughed like that in a long time. Real conversations, real connection. It felt like maybe things could still be put back on track. When they returned on January 28th, Bethany visited her grandmother. They made pizza, talked about the trip, but her grandmother said she had this feeling like Bethany wasn't telling her everything. There was just so much on her shoulders. You could see it weighing her down. That evening, without any warning, Bethany's phone started ringing, non-stop. She grabbed her things and rushed out. She said they didn't understand. What would happen to her if she didn't go back? That was one of the last times anyone who loved her saw her face. February 2nd, Emile arrived at the airport, expecting Bethany to be there. She wasn't. He called the restaurant. They told him she hadn't been in for several days. Something wasn't right. He could feel it. In the following days, friends and family kept trying to reach her. She didn't answer a single call. Strange messages appeared on her Facebook. The English was broken, full of mistakes. She couldn't answer simple questions, things she would have known by heart. 4 separate people said the same thing. That's not Bethany. February 19th. They finally called 911. A quick check of her phone, credit cards, debit cards. No activity. Since January 29th, she hadn't been to class, hadn't shown up at work, hadn't gone to any nearby hospitals. Her passport was still at home. When police searched her apartment, no signs of forced entry, no signs of a struggle. All of her belongings were still there. She hadn't packed anything. It was like she simply ceased to exist. There was one more person investigators needed to speak to. Ronald Roldan. He was no longer living in the apartment. They found him at his parents' house. He said he had moved out because the relationship was over. And then he said something that quietly shifted the entire timeline. He claimed he had seen Bethany on January 29th. During the day, at home, he said she seemed completely normal. Part of that was backed up by the restaurant manager. At around 2:08 the afternoon, Bethany called to ask about her shifts for the following week. She confirmed her shift for that evening, but she never showed up. ATM records showed Ronald left Bethany's apartment that same day. At 4:26 p.m., he withdrew money from his account. Later, he returned. He sent her 2 messages at 4:01 and 4:31, saying he would be at the apartment. But after her call at 2:08 p.m., her phone showed no activity at all. Whether she ever saw those messages is still unknown. Ronald was labeled a person of interest, not a suspect. At least, not yet. Months passed, then years. Police hadn't made any real progress. Divers searched nearby bodies of water. K-9 units swept the fields. The FBI came in to assist. Tips came in and went nowhere.
We're going to Pat Brown, criminal profiler and author of The Profiler. Pat, as always, great to see you. Pat, something's not right here.
I mean, theoretically, she could have run off and then, decided to slowly reappear. But, I don't know. That's why they can't say yet that whether she's missing or she's dead.
Being an investigator, I don't blame law enforcement for not giving up too much information because there are so many questions.
Tonight now in Loudoun County, a young woman gone missing 4 years ago without a trace. The newest twist, a bone-chilling letter from the woman arriving 5 years after she wrote it. It's just one of many shocking turns in a case that continues to baffle detectives.
Bethany Decker penned a letter to her future self when she was 19 years old.
She wrote December 3rd of 2008.
All of her plans were right there in black and white. Get married, have a child, start a career, go to Europe. She signed it, see you in 5 years, me.
She had lots of dreams of what her future would look like, and it was nothing like this.
She's really dropped off the face of the earth.
Loudoun County detectives immediately visited Roldan in jail.
He didn't really want to talk to me, so I just talked to him.
While detectives fear the worst, Bethany's mother hopes she's in hiding.
I pray that she's out there somewhere, that she got to a safe place.
The lawyer for Ronald Roldan, Decker's boyfriend, he wouldn't return her phone calls. As for the husband, Emil Decker's attorney tells us he's willing to talk to detectives only if counsel is present. I'm Jennifer Donnellan, ABC.
The day Bethany would have turned 23 fell on Mother's Day. Family and friends gathered. Emil was there. Kai was there. They brought a cake in her favorite color, orange. And life kept moving forward while Bethany stayed, frozen in time. November 12th, 2014. A 911 call in North Carolina. Almost 2 o'clock in the morning. A woman named Vicky. She had shot her boyfriend twice in self-defense. She said he came from behind, grabbed her by the hair, broke her neck in 2 places, started beating her, biting her. Despite unbearable pain, she grabbed a gun, fired 2 shots. Then he took the gun from her and shot her 3 times. One of those shots hit her in the head. She crawled out of the house, reached a neighbor's door. Her boyfriend was Ronald Roldan. Vicky said Ronald told her he could make people disappear. When a friend called her after seeing a segment about Bethany's case, Vicky confronted him. She said his reaction terrified her. She immediately felt like something was off. And now he knew that she knew. The violence only got worse after that. Investigators returned to Ronald. When detectives tried to question him, he became aggressive, yelling, refusing to speak. That only pushed them to dig deeper. In 2019, investigators obtained a warrant for Bethany's Facebook account. The analysis revealed something critical. Both Bethany's and Ronald's accounts had been accessed multiple times from the exact same IP address. In the days around her disappearance, that digital trace became the missing piece. November 2020, almost 10 years after Bethany vanished, Ronald Roldan was charged. First, with abduction, then upgraded to second-degree murder. Prosecutors said the circumstantial evidence was extremely strong. Ronald did not plead guilty. Not yet. The trial was set, then delayed again, until November 2022, when Ronald Roldan walked into a courtroom and pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in the killing of Bethany Ann Decker. As part of the plea agreement, Ronald was required to explain what happened that day.
A dramatic twist in a local cold case tonight.
That's right. This development could finally give local investigators the evidence that they need to bring charges against a person of interest in the disappearance of a young mother.
Decker's then-boyfriend was arrested in November for attempted murder of his new girlfriend. That woman tells the DailyMail.com Ronald Roldan told her things which could implicate him in Decker's disappearance.
Investigators combed the area near Bethany Decker's Ashburn apartment 4 years ago. They never found the 21-year-old. The young mother and wife of a soldier in Afghanistan was 5 months pregnant when she vanished.
It's so hard not knowing anything and not being able to reach her.
Decker and her husband had problems, and while he was overseas, she became involved with Ronald Roldan. After Decker disappeared, there was no activity on her credit cards or bank accounts. Roldan, a waiter at the time, became a person of interest but never charged. He moved to North Carolina, where last November, at the home of his new girlfriend, Roldan allegedly went into a rage and viciously beat the woman.
Loudoun County Sheriff's detectives have interviewed Roldan in North Carolina, where he is behind bars awaiting trial. At this point, despite the revelations from Roldan's alleged victim, he remains a person of interest.
He said they got into an argument. He claimed he pushed her, and she fell, hit her head on the windowsill, and died instantly. In his version, it was a tragic accident. But what he did next told a completely different story. Instead of calling 911, he put her body into a large bag, carried it to a trash compactor at the apartment complex, and got rid of the evidence. He still denied accessing her Facebook account. He still called it an accident. He still said he panicked. But the digital evidence told the truth. In February 2023, Ronald Roldan was sentenced to 12.5 years. The maximum charge was 40 years, most of it suspended. As part of the plea deal, 12 years, the same amount of time Bethany's family spent searching, grieving, waiting, waking up every day, not knowing. To this day, Bethany's remains have never been found, and police have said they likely never will be. Kim continues to work with Help Save the Next Girl, a national nonprofit, turning pain into purpose, into a warning, into a chance to save someone else's daughter. The night before Bethany was killed, she called her mother, and she said, "Mom, I love you." Those were her last words. Don't take tomorrow for granted. Talk to your loved ones. Show them how much you care, because later might never come.